On May 19, 1536, the sound of a single sword stroke echoed across the Tower of London. It was the moment Anne Boleyn, brilliant, ambitious, and hated, was erased from history. But something else happened that day. Her daughter Elizabeth, barely a toddler, lost everything. Her mother was executed as a traitor. Her father, King Henry VIII, refused to even look at her. Her royal title, Princess Elizabeth, was stripped from her like dirt on a shoe. She was labeled Lady Elizabeth, the king's bastard. Her household was dismantled. Her toys, her clothes, even her tutors were removed. At 2 years old, she was exiled to the corners of the kingdom, a silent reminder of her mother's supposed sins. Elizabeth grew up surrounded by danger. She watched queens come and go, like passing storms, one divorced, one executed, one dying in childbirth. She learned early that love was deadly, and that the Tudor throne was a place where power devoured the weak. And yet, in the shadows of rejection, a fire was forming. Elizabeth buried herself in study: Latin, Greek, French, mathematics, philosophy. Her mind sharpened like a blade. While the court dismissed her as a political embarrassment, she quietly became one of the most educated women in Europe. Her intelligence was her shield. Her silence was her armor. Her mother had died because she spoke too boldly. Elizabeth would survive because she understood when not to speak at all. After Henry VIII's death, the Tudor throne turned into a death trap. Edward VI, Elizabeth's young half-brother, ruled briefly before dying at only 15. Before she could even grieve, chaos erupted. Lady Jane Grey, their cousin, was placed on the throne and executed only 9 days later. Then came Mary I, Elizabeth's older sister. Mary saw her as a threat. She accused Elizabeth of treason and imprisoned her in the Tower of London, the same place her mother had been executed. Elizabeth walked into the tower knowing full well that no queen had ever walked out alive. Every shadow, every echoing footstep, was a reminder of her mother's fate. But she survived. When she was released, she acted like the perfect, loyal subject. But inside, she was learning, watching, preparing. England was collapsing under Mary's rule. Religious violence, economic ruin, and fear grew like a disease. And in the dark corners of the kingdom, the people whispered one name: Elizabeth. In 1558, when Mary died, England turned desperately toward the girl it had once cast out as a bastard. At 25 years old, Elizabeth became Queen of England. But the crown she inherited was broken, bloody, and bankrupt. She had no husband, no army, no money, and no powerful allies. What she did have was the mind of Anne Boleyn, dangerous and impossible to predict, and that would save her. From the moment she took the throne, enemies circled her like wolves. Spain, the most powerful empire in the world, saw her as a heretic. The Pope declared her illegitimate and encouraged other nations to overthrow her. Assassins targeted her. Conspiracies filled the air like smoke. Her own cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots, plotted against her from within the kingdom. Elizabeth ruled alone. Every decision, every misstep, every hesitation could cost her the throne, her country, or her life. But she refused to bow to fear. She rebuilt the economy. She restored national stability. She ended the religious nightmares that had torn England apart for decades. She created a church that blended Protestant faith with traditional ritual, a masterpiece of political balance, known as the Elizabethan religious settlement. Under her rule, England rose from a struggling kingdom to a growing global power. Then came the test that would define her forever: the battle against the Spanish Armada. The greatest empire in the world sent 130 warships to crush England and dethrone the illegitimate queen. Elizabeth was outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. But she was not afraid. At Tilbury, she rode before her troops, dressed in armor, and declared, "I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too." Those words lifted a nation. The Armada was defeated by a combination of English strategy, brutal storms, and Elizabeth's refusal to kneel before any empire. It was one of the greatest military victories in world history, and it cemented her place as a ruler who could not be broken. The Golden Age began. Under Elizabeth, Shakespeare wrote his greatest works. Explorers like Sir Francis Drake reached the New World. Trade flourished across the seas. England began its transformation into a global empire. She ruled for 44 years. She turned a bankrupt, fractured kingdom into one of the strongest nations on earth. She never married, famously saying she was married to England, and when she died in 1603, Europe bowed its head and called her the greatest reigning monarch of her time. Anne Boleyn died, accused, hated, and disgraced. But her daughter became the icon of an era, the master of survival, and the architect of a global empire. From bastard to queen, from prisoner to legend, from the daughter of a beheaded woman to the ruler of a world-changing age, Elizabeth did not merely redeem her mother's legacy. She carved her name into history so deeply that no sword could ever erase it. Thank you for watching. If you found this story inspiring, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of history's most incredible figures. We'll see you in the next one.